me what they've been waiting for.
You already know. Yeah.
At least a certain percentage of the world. Anyway. Can I talk my shit?
Talk that
Sure
shit.
I can. Cause ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it anyway.
Talk that shit. Talk that shit. Say it. Talk that shit.
Welcome to the first edition of Sports Fiends. It's your girl Rita, aka the NFL Chick.
And it's your man Uncle Mooka at Uncle Mooka Instagram name.
So we just gonna go with Instagram name? Okay, well fine. The NFL Chick on Instagram and Twitter at the NFL Chick. We're giving you the hottest sports for the Baltimore, Maryland, and national news. So let's start off with the Ravens. What's the Ravens' problems, Uncle Mooka?
Well, it seemed, well, first everything starts with the offensive line. As we can see, they're not getting no penetration. I call it the Matador line. Basically, they just let everybody come through. Now, the thing is, it's a little bit more complicated than that, as we see. They have issues with the run game coordinator. So, like Juan Castillo, he integrated a new zone blocking scheme. But it just seems like the players, somewhere, they're not getting that. They're not getting something with that scheme that's causing a breakdown. I mean, what do you think?
I agree with you. I think that Juan Castillo started the zone blocking, and it's not really working. This is a team that really was a power run game, and that's what they were very good at. And now that you see that they're not being good, add the fact that McKinney is gone. You have Eugene Monroe that's come in, and he's doing a little bit different. You know, he's not what McKinney was, and now you have Osmelia, he's gone for the year, so A.Q. Shipley is taking his place. So now this is a totally different team. They can't run the ball. They gave up 5 sacks against Cleveland. It's not really a good look. My quarterback should not have to keep picking himself up off the ground. That's been the biggest issue with the Ravens. I think also the defense is an issue, specifically in the secondary.
Let me ask you this. Do you think people are playing out of position?
Yes, absolutely. Matt Elam is not a free safety. He's a strong safety. That's what he was in college at the University of Florida. But they have James Ahidbu there to take his place because Michael Huff wasn't doing his part. So I think that as the years go on, Matt Elam will be moved to strong safety. But for now, we don't have a free safety, so he's all we got. That's the problem. And then you have guys like Jimmy Smith, who's underachieved pretty much since he's been here. Exactly. And then you have other guys in the linebacking core who we just don't really know what they can do. So that's been a big problem for the Ravens defense. They just don't have key playmakers at this point. And I think that they'll get it right in the offseason. But for now, it's just really been crucial.
Now, with these close losses that has happened over the past weeks, you're talking about losses of 6, 3, 2. Let me ask you this. Do you think that in an instance like that, it's a leadership issue, which could possibly, you could look maybe towards coaching? Because we think about the, when it was the Green Bay game, whereas though Harbaugh decided to try to get aggressive to go for it and was stopped. So, but you take that back, maybe we could have converted 3 points. So do you think that's an issue of coaching, or it just seemed like this team is just lacking some type of accountability that was there last year?
I think that some of it is coaching. I actually don't have a problem with that play that you're talking about. You're talking about when the Ravens went for it on all 4 downs and they didn't get points. I have more of an issue with the fact that they went for it with 12 seconds left at the bottom of the half, strip fumble, and they converted and got points. I think that that was my bigger issue because in the game of football, you want to put points on the board. I didn't really have an issue with it. That was to send a message. And it didn't translate, but I couldn't understand why they went for it at halftime instead of taking the knee. That was a bigger issue for me. Okay. It has been coaching. That has been a big issue. But also it is the players. And I'm not really one to say, oh, leadership because Ray Lewis is gone. You know, Ray Lewis was big on rah-rah, and that's fine. I just think that there's some guys, it's just not gelling. For whatever reason, they lost a lot of guys in the offseason. They lost a lot of guys due to injury, and it's just not gelling at this point. The Ravens had a lot of breaks last year in 2012, which led to the Super Bowl. This year, they're not getting any breaks, and that's just been the difference of the season. 4 out of 5 games that they've lost, they've lost 6 points or less.
How about this new stat? If you want to take out the Super Bowl run, that's 9 losses in 13 regular season games, the past 13 regular season games. So let me ask you this weekend, do they turn it around?
No. I don't think that they do.
I believe they do.
I think that they can. Don't get me wrong. The Ravens are still the Super Bowl champions for a reason. I think that they can do it, but I just don't think that they're ready to turn that yet. And I think that Cincinnati has the ability to take the division by the horns and just run away with it. I think that the Ravens keep it close. I think that they're going to do what they've been doing in these other losses, is keep us on our toes, because there's obviously an opportunity to win. I just think that they fall short.
There's a but behind it. They fall short.
I think so.
Give me a score.
Bengals 27, Ravens 20.
I'm going to say Ravens 30, Bengals 20.
I hope you're right.
I'm going bold on this one. Okay, so with that being said, sticking in the realm of football, the biggest issue that's going on right now with the whole Miami Dolphins and Richie Incognito issue, with the other guy, Jonathan Martin, who allegedly was being bullied, and it's so many stories that's going on. But what I want to focus on is they're saying that he has been hazed. But what's really the difference? Was he hazed or has he been harassed?
He's been harassed. This isn't hazing. This is harassment. And I don't even know if it's harassment, because now players are coming out and saying that they were best friends, they hung out all the time. You know, if you go to Incognito's timeline, he wishes him a happy birthday. You know, there's so many different variables that I believe we in the public don't know. I think that what we've heard about Incognito is true. I think he's a bigot. I don't know if I would go as far as to say he's a racist. He's probably a guy who's very well liked amongst his peers, and he probably thinks it's okay to say the N-word, because we all have a friend that's not black, maybe just of color, or maybe a white friend that says the N-word. We might side at him a little bit. We give him a pass because we like that guy. And I think that that's what happened with Incognito. This, to me, is weird. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a lover's quarrel. I just think that there's more to the story than we're getting, because I just don't see how a guy not defending himself, who allegedly is friends with this guy, and now all of a sudden wants to follow suit. I think that there's more to the story. I'm interested to know what happens from this point on, because I believe it at some point it'll come out.
Well, we've all known, over the years, you've seen the different teams Incognito has played for, St. Louis Rams, you know, now with the Miami Dolphins, and he's had run-ins with everybody, you know, the infamous fight with Antonio Smith from the Texans. You know, maybe he said something that got up under his skin. But at the same time, you're right. You're looking at this issue. You're grown men going into a man's football game, and there's hazing that goes on. And there could have been harassment, but what I tend to think that might be an issue here is maybe Jonathan Martin has mental issues. He might have mental health issues to the point of where as though he could be dealing with depression, he could be dealing with mood disorders. You know, because how do you go from, and from what I also heard on jokes with other rookies, he was in on it. So now how do you be in on jokes with rookies, but when the joke is on you, it's flipped?
This is the problem that I have with people saying that, well, he should have handled it like a man. Okay, so he didn't. That's the reality, is that he didn't. Would you have rather him handled it the way he did outside of the facility, as opposed to saying, I'm done with this, and bringing in a gun or a knife or some type of forceful item and put harm to other people as a result? Yeah, it's a manly game, and I get all of that, but that's not how Jonathan Martin obviously works. That's not how he deals with things. So I think that what's being missed here is that he handled it the best way he knew how, and it didn't endanger anybody. You know, if it is a mental issue, football is physical, and people hit their heads all the time, and we keep seeing now the side effects of that. One of that is depression and some different types of disorders and anger and all of that. So I'm glad that he took the steps that he felt was necessary, and it didn't affect everybody else. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that he will be invited to be back into that locker room or any locker room in the NFL?
I will say no to the first one, yes to the second one. Because, and I'm going to say yes to the second one because, of course, other teams don't want that public backlash. I mean, you take a look at somebody like the Ravens, who had press conferences this week talking about how they didn't allow that in their locker room. They had people that set standards for anti-hazing. Well, right now, Miami Dolphins, they're totally believing something else. They're believing in their teammate, Richie Incognito, that he was well within his rights. Nothing was overboard. And They were best friends. Like, this was the norm. So how all of a sudden there becomes a problem? So, but then I also heard that that's just half of the locker room. There's other parts, you know, it's someone who used to play for us, Donnell Ellaby, said that that doesn't fly with everybody. He don't get a pass to say that. So again, you have dissension among the whole locker room. So then I bring this to you. Will Joe Philbin fall on the sword for this one?
Possibly. It just depends. I think that it hasn't played out yet for us to really know what happened. They put a little bit of the blame on him, but not a whole lot. I think that you'll find that more people than not would have preferred them fight, duke it out, as opposed to him doing what he did and take the necessary process. And that probably includes higher up people as well. So it depends on how much we find out in the coming weeks will determine, you know, if he falls on the sword or not. But this is this is the NFL.
Yeah.
This is normal. And for people to say that they don't haze, that's a lie. All 32 teams haze. Trust and believe. Now, does everybody have different ways of doing it? Absolutely. Everybody isn't the same. And I think that, you know, this was probably an aggressive environment. But again, I don't think this was hazing. I think this was a different dynamic. I think this was harassment.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some emotions, some other emotions going on. That's all I'm saying. So finally, let's talk about Allen Iverson. As we know, Allen Iverson's retired. He's retiring finally this year.
Finally this year. Official ceremony will be March 14th of next year at the Wizards game against the Wizards. They're going to retire his jersey.
So that's definitely coming up. So talk to me. Tell us how you feel Allen Iverson impacted the hip-hop culture, not just the basketball culture, because he expanded himself beyond the NBA. Just let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, you take a look around, not just basketball, but even football. Before you seen Allen Iverson, who did you see wearing tattoos? Look at Birdman from the Miami Heat.
Birdman.
So, you know, so to see that he not only was he one of the greatest players to ever play the game, and arguably the greatest small guard to ever play the game, but he had such a legacy of impact in where the hip-hop culture was welcomed, the urban culture was welcomed in professional sports.
Not to mention he had the best soundbite ever. It's just practice. You talk about practice.
Not the game I die for. Practice.
That is it for us. It's your girl Rita, aka the NFL Chick.
And this is your man Uncle Mooka. And one parting shot, we benched.
It's time. It's time for you to go.
Hey,
he had 2 tickets to Paradise, so his 2 tickets to Canton is next.
And now our 2 tickets to Paradise. We out of here.
Peace.
Talk that shit. Talk that shit. Say talk that shit.
Tell the way I stack my money. Something else. Nah, I ain't one of them dummies. Something else. Trades, nicks, dimes, and 20s. Something else. The way I get it in with the honeys. Something else. You know I love the style on your blue 40 caliber. Butterfly doors on the triple black Challenger.